Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. Our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You can log on and get information on our guest on the program. And as mentioned, our guest on the program today is Martin Simmons. He's worked in the construction industry for over 30 years, and he's the author of a really fascinating new book called Contractors Exposed, How to Win in the Home Improvement Game. And his website is Contractors Exposed during the course of the program. Martin, welcome to This Week in America. Great to have you with us on the show.
Well, it's great to be here.
I enjoyed reading the book, and I know you say in the beginning, this is something, and I mentioned your 30 years experience in the contracting industry. This is something you've thought about for a long time. Why did you suddenly decide to, okay, I'm actually going to go through with it now? This has been a dream of mine. I'm going to put all the information out there. How did you decide to go ahead and write the book?
Well, as I said before, I've been in contracting a long time. I was in it a few years, and I always tried to do my very best. And what was happening was people were coming to me, having me go and look at someone else's work and saying, I'm having this problem, I'm having this happen, from all different types of construction. I remember Frank, his kitchen had been torn up for 9 months.
Wow.
Trying to get cabinets in and have his kitchen remodeled with a contractor, just horror stories like that. And I went through and a lot of times I did work for people that in the past, they were not happy with what was done. And so these built up. And in 2000, I fell, shattered my shoulder, shattered my hip, my leg, my arm, ribs. So I couldn't even walk for 6 months. And so while I was laying in there, I've always been a worker. I called the local newspaper and I said, let me write you a column. And I'll write it once a week. And I called it Around the Town Square. And what I did was have people write in problems that they had had in the past, doubts that they had about having something done, what makes a good contractor. And after writing for that newspaper for 9 months, a lot of my past customers and other people said, Marty, you need to put this in a book. So I decided to do that. The first thing I did is I went and researched and went to the bookstores and tried to find something that was like unto this book. I couldn't find anything. I could find plenty of how-to books that were, this is how you put in a window.
Right.
But nothing that dealt with principle-oriented things that would help people stay out of all the predicaments that you can get into.
Well, the book is very easy. It's very easy to read. It's really well laid out. Martin Simmons, our guest on the program. The book is called Contractors Exposed, How to Win in the Home Improvement Game. And the website is contractorsexposedbook.com. Book is available at Amazon. Let's start in the very beginning. The first chapter you have in there, and it's the question that everybody should ask, what makes a good contractor? What are some of the things that you tell people, this is really what you need to do when you're just starting doing the basic work, laying the groundwork for finding a contractor? How do they determine who is a good one?
Well, there's a whole lot of things involved. You can't just determine one thing. You can't go by just references.
Right.
And I laid that out in the book, how references can be made up. It's not how long they've been in business. There's some people who've been in business for 25 years. I wouldn't let them work on my house. These different things. The best thing that you can do is educate yourself. And that best source right now is Contractors Exposed. It breaks down all the little subtle details that people need to know in finding a good contractor. There's blatant things. Does he make an appointment? Does he ensure that both you and your wife or the decision makers are there? Is he professional? Is he dressed nice? Does he know what he's talking about? Is he going to be up front? And you go on from there. And that's only one facet of what you need to do in order to have a great job done.
You talk about the greatest fallacy that we all fall into is price. And you talk about the difference between price and value. And that comes up throughout the book, Contractors Exposed, not just in finding a contractor, but we'll get in a second to the materials. there is a difference in quality and pricing. You used to think you get three bids and you take the lowest bid and you'll have somebody come in and they'll build a Taj Mahal for you. And it really doesn't work. Doesn't really work that way, does it?
No. And, you should always get 3 or 4 bids. And, what is out in the newspapers in the past and the little blips that you sometimes get is don't take the highest, don't take the lowest. That's not always the case. Sometimes the estimate that was the highest is the one that you should take. As many times as not, no, it isn't. And so you need to know what that contractor is using and why he's using those materials. Construction is like buying boots or buying tools. I have a hard foot to fit, and I wear boots because when I was young, I did some damage to my ankles. So I buy expensive boots. The reason why I buy expensive boots, they're some of the more expensive to buy, but they're the cheapest boot I can have. What I'm trying to say is I may spend $400 on a pair of boots, but for 6 years, I got something that fits right, does what it's supposed to do, and looks great. I've gone in the past and bought an off-brand at $110, $120, and after a year, they're shot. They don't fit right. They don't last. What was the cheapest boot? The one that was $400. Up front, it was more. But down the road, it was the cheapest thing. It's the same thing with your home when you're doing things, the materials that they put on there. If a contractor, one of the positive things, and there's a lot of great contractors out there, is if he's going to say, this is what you need and this is why. This is going to last, this is going to do this and this and this for this amount of time. If you use this, personally, I've gone out on roofs that were only 7 years old that had to be redone. And the reason is the cheapest shingles they could find were used on the home and ended up costing that customer a whole lot more had they spent more money and got quality materials to begin with. And the same thing with the contractor.
The book is Contractors Exposed, How to Win in the Home Improvement Game. Martin Simmons is our guest on the program. His website is contractorsexposedbook.com. You can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, link on, and you'll get to Martin's website and get information on the book. The book is available at Amazon all around the country. You can order it as well from the website. So many people going into remodeling projects, especially this time as the economy starts to turn around. One of the chapters, and we'll touch on this briefly, that you've already mentioned, importance of materials used. And that's where I guess research really comes in, especially with the internet now. You really need to find out the quality of the materials that you're being pitched by the contractor.
Yes, you do. But again, it goes back to that's only part of it. A big part of what kind of job you're going to get, because this is one of the other fallacies that people fall into. Take windows, for example. You may have someone who comes out and they show you a very high quality window, excellent window, a very expensive window. And they say, we got a huge promotion on right now. And they write up in the agreement, but in the agreement, they fail to write in that window. And they put in, okay, we're going to get you a double pane vinyl window and with a screen, and you can clean them from the inside. And so you sign that agreement. He goes out, he orders bottom of the line windows. Are they vinyl windows? Yes. Are they double pane? Yes. Can you clean it from the inside? Yes. Are they a good window? No. It isn't what you were shown, isn't what you were told. And I've seen that happen. So one of the most critical parts is what's in the agreement, what's in there. Contractors Exposed breaks that down to where people can go and find the answers to many of these questions. What should be in a contract? How should it be written and why? And that's a very good thing, because even if a contractor tells you, hey, I'm going to use the highest grade materials available, how should it be written in the agreement so you get what you think you're getting.
And
Does that
in the
make
book,
sense?
Contractors Exposed, yes, perfect sense. In the book, Contractors Exposed, you actually show examples. Like I say, it's very easy to read. It's got all the information in there. And as I'm reading that and I'm thinking, yeah, that's really important, the contract. And if you allow the contractor to write the contract, obviously it's going to be written in his favor. As the consumer, you really need to have your input and to make sure if there is a problem, and I guess you sort of think ahead, what if type of situation, if there is a problem, what legal recourse do I have? And you point out, forget about any oral agreement there. It really needs to be written.
It does, because if it's written that way and a customer says that isn't what he promised, and he goes to take him to court, he's going to lose. And you know, the book, I guess the greatest thing that the book does, and what I wanted it to do, was a couple of things. One, I want it to be easy to read, quick to read, something that you can reference and remember without a bunch of fluff. Two, I want to separate the tare from the weeds. I want to separate the scabbers from the good contractors, because there's some really good contractors and they deserve the work. And our customers deserve to have good contractors. A good contractor is going to write a very well-written agreement for you. It's going to be detailed, but he's also going to go over and explain to you why he's doing things a certain way. Not only is it important how the materials that he's using, but how are those materials installed and why are they installed that way? How are you going to be protected before you start? How are you going to be protected while they're there and after they're gone? I mean, there's just goes on and on and on. You can just get hoodwinked very close. And so what Contractors Exposed does is break these complex things down into simple analogies and easy to read, easy to remember, and step by step to where people can have the answers. And it just makes sense to me that someone would want that rather than roll the dice and hope for the best. And that seems to be the norm.
Well, yes, and you eliminate so much of that. One of the chapters, how to protect yourself before and during the job. And by the way, Martin Simmons, if you just joined us, our guest on the program, author of the book, Contractors Exposed, How to Win in the Home Improvement Game. His website is contractorsexposedbook.com. The book is available at Amazon. Go to our website if you can't remember all that and link on. One of the things you talk about is to make sure that the contractor, they show you a proof of insurance. And you would think, well, where would that come in? I'm not too worried about that. You use an example. Someone is doing a roofing job. It was like the cheapest one that was out there. Guy falls off the roof, breaks his back, ends up suing the consumer, the homeowner, and he had to pay it out of the pocket because he didn't ask the question, are you insured, and didn't ask for the documents.
Well, the thing of it is he had me out to begin with. This guy comes in, follows me in, thousands of dollars cheaper, working out of the back of his truck, not properly insured, not properly licensed, not really knowing what he's doing. And it's easy to get hoodwinked, get promised the moon. You know, sometimes we got to be careful we don't strain at a gnat and try and swallow a cow. His agreement was poorly written. It was very vague. I have another example where a gentleman worked all his life for a new home, had it built by a mid-sized developer, and 9 months later he's having settling problems, foundation problems, cracking in the drywall. And I go and look at the contract, and there's 5 typewritten pages in this contract. One half of one page is 9 lines that talk about what this developer and this contractor was going to do for him. All the rest of it was ifs, ands, and buts. And basically what happened, there was not very much recourse whatsoever. I did what I could. We got some done. He had been calling them for 3 months. And so what happened with the roof? I ended up redoing the roof. How much did it cost the customer? Thousands more than it would have been had he taken a good bid from a good contractor. Because let's face it, you get 3 or 4 contractors out there, and let's say someone like me who's honest and forthright and has the guts to say, this is what you need to use, this is why, and it's going to cost more, and they get another bid. And so we get the scabber in, and he says, oh, I'm going to, what did he say to do it for? Oh, well, I'm going to be $1,500 cheaper. And the customer innocently says, well, are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? What is the guy going to say? No, he's obviously going to say yes. Yeah, I'm going to do all that, but doesn't put it in the agreement, doesn't write that in there that way. Maybe writes in one of the worst things that you can have in your agreement. Anything unforeseen would be deemed as an extra. They go in, they lowball the good contractor, they use cheap materials, and let's face it, when you use cheap materials, you're going to cut corners on how it's installed as well. They go in there, they get done with the contract, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, this was an extra, this was an extra, this was an extra, this was an extra, and they would have to pay that.
All of that information and more. It's excellent if you're going to consider doing any work. In fact, it's mandatory, I would say, if you're going to do contracting work, remodeling. Contractors Exposed, How to Win in the Home Improvement Game. Martin Simmons is the author. His website is contractorsexposedbook.com. You can log on to our website and link on to get that information. Got about a minute or so left in the program, and it's so important, the documentation. And, well, in fact, I want to go back to the point you were making before where you went in, and there are numerous cases in the book where you've gone in, basically had to clean up somebody else's job. And I think you talk about a fireplace-facing job where 90% of the money had been paid up front, half the job was done, it was terrible. They call you in. Basically, you're paying almost double to have the work done because they didn't do their proper homework and think through what they were doing before they hired that contractor.
Oh, absolutely. I would say 35% of my work is where I go in and have to fix or redo something that is less than 6 years old.
That they've already paid at least something on, if not for the whole job.
Well, where they've paid.
Yeah.
I remember Terry Moore down in Draper, Utah. He had 2 French doors put in less than 5 years old. I had to go in there. The job was not done right, and he was hesitant about having a contractor out. I was doing work for his neighbor. He called me over, and, we had to replace those French doors. They had become so warped, and there was structural damage around the framing of his house that had to be redone. And some other problems and we addressed and we cleaned those up. And, he was thrilled to death. People, if you do them good work, and the key is you want to find a contractor that has a want to, that has a desire to do really good work, to do work on your home as if it was being done on his home. And if you can distill it down to that, you're not going to go wrong.
One of the chapters, well, they're all very important, but how to protect yourself after the job is completed, and I'm just about out of time, but you talk about a completion certificate, installation warranty. You talk a lot about different types of contracts, different types of warranties. If somebody says, here's the warranty, you really need to take it a step further than that. I guess the bottom line is you have so much valuable information in the book, Contractors Exposed. But just very briefly, about 30 seconds, there are ways that you can protect yourself legally after the job is completed.
Yes, if your work has been done before it starts. One is you write in the agreement that they have a completion certificate, and it states that they're happy with what's been done. 2 is there's a big difference between a manufacturer's warranty and an installation warranty. Manufacturer's warranty covers that product. And it may be non-prorated, and it may be transferable. Doesn't mean a hill of beans if these factors aren't in place. 1, it has to be installed according to that manufacturer's specifications. Needs to be installed properly. 2 is who's doing the work. If things aren't installed properly, that eliminates your manufacturer's warranty, and a manufacturer's warranty does not cover installation. And you need to have a detailed installation warranty that just covers flat everything with a time of a turnaround. You don't want to have a problem and call the contractor and call and have to wait 2 months to have him come out and address a problem. Needs to have that in that installation warranty that he's going to get back with you within 24 hours.
What was that phrase you used a little while ago that we need to watch for in a contract where basically, if I understood what you were saying, the contractor is putting in there anything over and above is your responsibility, not mine?
Anything deemed as an extra will be charged accordingly.
Boy,
Anything unforeseen and deemed as an extra. If you have a guy that's putting in windows for 25 years and he comes out and he writes that in that contract, you're going to have a lot of confidence in him. If he hasn't got enough know-how, enough common sense or experience to be able to eliminate these unforeseen problems, it's just a game. To where they can lowball and then they go in, well, this was an extra, this was an extra, and this was an extra. And the customer is basically has to pay it.
Yeah, that's almost like saying just leave your checkbook out, sign a couple checks in there, and I'll take care of myself when the day is over. That's a little scary. That's something to watch for. So much.
Well, what's the scariest thing is to have something out there that can really help you and then not use it.
Well, yes, and all that information, and again, this is not legalese. It's real simple to follow. Examples are in the book, Contractors Exposed, How to Win in the Home Improvement Game. Martin Simmons, who's been in the home improvement game successfully for over 30 years, has been our guest on This Week in America. We will have him back on the program. His website is contractorsexposedbook.com. The book is available, of course, at Amazon. You can get more information at the website. If you're traveling, can't remember all of that, simply go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and you can log on there and link on to all the information from Martin Simmons and his book, Contractors Exposed. Martin, a lot of great information. Thank you for joining us on the program. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure.
My thanks go to you.
Great information there, and it's all available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.